Great, we're going to begin. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul Rosselli from the Burrilville Land Trust. I want to welcome you to another one of our many, I guess, Earth Day celebrations. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We have a bunch of videos that we'll be showing you today. All of these videos were produced by the folks, board members from the Burrilville Land Trust. And we'll talk about those as we go through them. Matter of fact, some of the Land Trust board members who produced those videos are here today. So they will, I hope, narrate them. I hope. I'm expecting you will narrate them. So we're going to begin right away. We're going to just get right into it. And let's see, the first one, let me cue this up a little bit. First one is from someone who's not here yet. So I'm going to ask our second individual to go ahead. And that is Betty Mancucci. Betty, are you here? If you can unmute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Microphone. There you go. So I'll play this in the background, and you're welcome to chime in and talk about at least that part that's not narrated. Much of the video that Betty and Betty's husband Carlo produced is narrated, and I'll play that now. And we'll talk a little bit about why we're doing this. Okay, here we go. By the way, in the upper right-hand corner, you may see right now there are 4 of us who are in on this Zoom call, and we've got about half a dozen or so on the YouTube channel who are watching this as well. There's a little drop-down menu with 4 little boxes, and then at the top of that, you see these horizontal bars. There's 2, and if you press that, you see the 4 of us. If you press 1, you see just, at least on mine anyway, you see just Betty. And if you press that little tiny thin bar, they all disappear. So Betty, here we go.
Just came home with a new package of bees. I got it at Cedar Lane Apiary this morning, and I'm at one of the apiaries at Betty's Bee Farm. I'm on Cherry Farm Road, and I'm going to install this package of bees into a hive that didn't make it over this winter. All my other hives made it over the winter except this one, so I got one replacement. It's the bees come in a plastic cage, and they came from California, so while they're being transported by a refrigerated truck across the country, they need something to eat. So there's sugar syrup inside this can that's on the top here, and then there's a queen suspended in a cage into the bees, with the bees. So I'm going to pull the syrup can out first, and then I'm going to take the queen out. The syrup can has some wax on it because the bees have been eating the syrup and building a little bit of wax there on the side.
I'm gonna stop the video just for a second. Can everybody hear it okay? Eddie, can you hear the audio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it coming across crystal clear, or is it muted somewhere in the background?
It's not muted. If anything, is loud here.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll continue.
Here they are. That's the syrup cage. Syrup can, I mean. And now I'm going to take the queen cage out. is the cage. And you can see, I can't see the queen yet, but the bees are really hanging all over this cage because they can smell the queen in there. But these bees do not really know this queen, and so that's why she's caged. If she was let out, they would kill her because their scents have not mingled yet. So we're going to put the queen in the hive, in this cage, and they will gradually get used to her, and then they will accept her. So that's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to shake off the bees and make sure there's a queen in there and that she's alive. And there she is. There's a single queen in this cage. Can you see the queen? She's not marked. I'll mark her later. I won't bother to do that now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is she looks okay. She's moving around. I want to hang this cage inside the hive, so I have a thumbtack with a piece of electrical wiring, telephone wire. And I'm just going to take the cage and hang it so that it's perpendicular. I want the bees to be able to make contact with the screen, so I'm not putting the cage this way so it's facing the frames. I'm putting that so that it's perpendicular to the frames. And then I'm going to put another thumbtack on top. And I'm all set. I'll come back in 3 days and I'll release that queen. So the next thing to do is to take these bees that are in this package and shake them onto this queen. This is the fun part. The bees are pretty docile because they don't really have a home to defend. They've been kind of uprooted from where they live and they're shipped across the country. Here comes the bees. I'm shaking them right onto the queen. And that's most of them. The rest of them will come out. So now this is a hive that's been lived in before, so it has comb that's older, and there's some honey in here, and the bees will find this to be a very, very attractive place to live. So I'm going to put the frames back in that I had taken out. And because these bees are, they're just starting out from fresh, I'm going to give them a helping hand by feeding them some sugar. I'm going to put an inner cover on here. And then I have sugar syrup that I've mixed up. It's just plain granulated sugar mixed with water. I'm going to put it right on top of the cluster of bees so that they can have plenty of food. And then I will put an empty box around them. I'll also take this can that still has some sugar in there from when they were in transportation. I'll just put this in here so they can finish eating that up as well. And that's it. I'm all done. I just need to put the outer cover on. I'll put some weights on the hive. And now the bees are going to get to know that queen. And I'll come back in 3 days, and there's a cork that's holding her in. I'll take that cork out and I'll release her. And in the meantime, they're going to go out and start foraging for nectar. They're going to start bringing in pollen. They're going to start cleaning the house. They're going to start fixing any comb, and it won't be long, and this will be a thriving colony.
He's on rabbit ear pussy willow. And these are plum blossoms. A Japanese plum.
These in your yard?
Yeah, it's part of my orchard. And these obviously are daffodils in front of one of the hives. The next video is bees coming in through a little rotted hole in one of the hives. And if you look carefully, you can see all the different colors of pollen. You'll see bright yellow pollen. You'll see some that's kind of whitish. You'll see some that's a pale yellow. But you'll see all different colors of pollen coming in. And there's worker bees coming in. Every once in a while, you'll see a larger bee. Those are drones coming into the hive. The drones are the males and all the workers are females. But the bees are using this upper entrance in the hive because it's an old box and a little piece of it rotted away, and they love that type of entrance. And the entrance is very crowded. This shows what the entrance of the hive looks like. It's kind of hard to see because the video is jerky here. If it was smooth, you'd see bees coming in and going out. And here's the entrance of a different hive. Again, you can see the pollen and close-up of the bees as they rush in with pollen and nectar and leave to go get new nectar and pollen. You'll see the bees carry the pollen on their legs. We call those pollen baskets. But they dive into a flower and the pollen kind of gets attracted to the bee's body, kind of like static electricity. And then they brush it back on their hind legs and put them in that structure, that pollen basket structure. These are some deer that were out. I have deer that passed through a little herd, and they were passing through one evening. I think everybody knows that that's a cardinal. He was singing.
Hi there. Al and I are out here working in the cemetery number 75 at Addyville Farm. This is the stone of Roba Smith, and she was uprooted in a terrible windstorm we had in October, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And the stone walls were broken out, and they've just been repaired, so we've got this beautiful stone wall back in place, so now we can reset this stone. We reset the base this morning, and now we've got to epoxy this broken stone to the bottom. We worked here all morning, now we're here in the afternoon. It's a beautiful day. Today is Monday, April 6th. I'm going to raise this up now. Okay, now I'm just going to lower it so Kyle can put the epoxy in. Now that that's secure, Kyle's going to mix the epoxy, and then we're going to lift this up and set it back in place. And this stone will be close to 100% as it can. Thanks for visiting us. Okay, we've just finished the repair. Kyle put some special epoxy here that we use that's made specifically for stone. It's clamped on this side only because the break runs from here down to the bottom, so there'd be nothing to clamp on that other side. But we'll take these clamps off tomorrow. I just wanted to say that the windstorm that damaged the stone was because there was trees along here, and the wind blew the trees over. The trees uprooted, pulled this whole base and the stone with it, broke the stone, and uprooted and pulled the stone wall apart. So there was 2 gaping holes in the stone wall, big enough to drive 2 trucks through, two separate breaches. And it was because trees uprooted and pulled the stone wall right apart and uprooted the stone and this base. This base goes into the ground 9 inches, and it totally uprooted that. So we're done with this repair. There's a few other ones that we're going to work on here to do the final repairs after that bad windstorm we had back in October, a number of years back. So that's it for right now. I was thinking back to last year when everything was normal. We traveled to Costa Rica and saw monkeys and other amazing wildlife. The annual meeting of the Burrilville Land Trust was scheduled for April at Grace Note Farm. We were going to have a special presentation to highlight Costa Rica and its incredible biodiversity. So I thought I'd share some scenes of the wildlife with you right now. While we're all cooped up at home, it makes me happy to think about the monkeys living freely in the treetops in Costa Rica.
That's great. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Carlo. Great photography, Carlo. Nicely done. Thanks. Our next video presenter was here a few minutes ago, but looks like he left. But, well, we'll see. Doris, you're here. So how about if we queue up your video? There you are.
Sure, cue it up.
And you can
Smells nice.
narrate. And you can narrate some of it that that isn't already narrated. Oh, wait, before I go, let's see. All right, so I think you're next here. So let's see what happens. There you are.
Welcome to Scott Pond in Lincoln. All is quiet on the waterfront. A few lazy gulls out there. Don't think you can see them. I want to show you my favorite flowering tree. Here it is. It's the sugar maple, native to New England. And this one living on borrowed time, I think. There's where it attaches to the trunk. And that's the trunk. Or is that the trunk? Or maybe that's the trunk. But whatever, it's still providing a condo for squirrels all the way up and up and up. But sure enough, it still has plenty of red flowers on the top and should live another year. Just amazing.
Yeah, about half of that fell off the other year.
And I have a question for you after. This is my mellow yellow early blooming spirea. It has these lovely white flowers, but the joy of it all year is this lovely green color that makes it a standout in the yard. But next to it, I have my mystery vine hiding under this euonymus here. It came up on its own about 3 years ago. It's very hardy. I have picked it up and just about ripped it out, not realizing I had it in my handful of leaves. But last year I broke the end off. So this year it seems to be developing some side shoots here, and lots of them here. I have never seen it bloom, and I've never seen it with berries either. I would love to know what it is, and if anybody has a suggestion, I'll make a sign for it. Thank you very much.
You may want to narrate this one, Doris.
Oh, okay. We had these geese visit the neighbor's house. They landed on the roof ridge. They're not, the one is not terribly happy that the other one is there. The one on the left probably landed first, and then was frog marched down that from the chimney down to the edge there, and it's about as far as he could go. I thought he was going to push him all the way off, but he just sort of sat there and preened his feathers and then flew away. That's not me.
That was great. Super.
I don't know, I've ever seen geese with their webbed feet land on something like the ridge of a roof. I mean, he was there for quite a while. That was only one of several little videos that I took. And then finally the one at the very end flew off, and then following it, so did the other goose. So it was quite a sight in the neighborhood. There were a number of folks gathering around to see the sight.
Never saw geese on a roof, that's for sure, until your video. All right, we have one more, and this will be something that I put together on one of the land trust properties. And I'll narrate some of it, and some of it I'll just leave it alone, and so you can experience it the way I experienced it, both this morning and a few weeks ago. This is the Edward D. Bach Conservation Area, just along Jackson Schoolhouse Road in Pasco, Rhode Island. It's an 86-acre parcel divided up into 3 parcels. And the Land Trust has owned this for quite some time. On one of these walks, you'll come across a lot of little lakes and ponds and stuff. I thought I'd take the camera underneath so you can see what's going on. That was from this morning. I'll go back there just for a second and talk about what we're looking at. I'll stop it right there. Any idea what those are? Those are frog masses, frog egg masses, still in development. I guess it's been a little too chilly for them to progress any more. But over the last several weeks, these have certainly gotten bigger and less translucent, less transparent, and less translucent, and more opaque as time goes on. So something is definitely happening in there. What kind of frogs are they? Most likely they're tree frogs. The pond that you're looking at, once we come above water, was created by an earthen dam by the previous owner, Edward D. Bach. And that sound in the background is the sound of some tree frogs. And this pond used to be known as the Carp Pond in honor of they used to stock it with carp. And this was shot about 3 weeks ago. If we go underwater here, there may be an egg mass or 2. I've kind of lost track as to where they are now. But even then, there were some little creatures flittering about. And you see the new growth of some underwater plants, some algae, and some other stuff. And there's a couple of smaller egg masses there. The pond was made with an earthen dam. Ed Bach was a firm believer of living off the land. And when he came here, he brought his wife and 3 daughters, and they lived as much as they could off the land. This is looking underneath that little stream there that connects that Carp Pond to that little stream, which flows down into Leland.
What year was he there?
What years? Oh my goodness! I used to know. I don't know anymore. But certainly in the 40s, all the way till about 1971. And the interesting thing about some of these scenes is that if we were to come about 100 years ago, there would have been very few trees. Most of this land was clear cut for pasture. Sheep mostly, and goats, but mostly sheep grace these woods, and the way sheep are, they eat everything. But over the years, many of the trees have taken over. Some of the pines have returned, the white pine especially. The Land Trust did a tree thinning a number of years ago, and you can see the growth of some of these new trees. The space between that whirl of branches is a 1-year growth. And that first whirl was about 18 inches long. The second one was about a foot long. That's a little bit. If you ever get a chance to walk along the Jackson Schoolhouse Road, the dirt portion, and look to your left or right. That is the Edward D. Vock Conservation Area. We have one more, and I still don't see our individual. Let me see if he is available anywhere else here. Just give me a second. Doesn't appear to be that way. So I'll show you his video. A little bit of it is narrated. So give me a second to get organized. And I'll play it for you now.
All right, it's April 6th, 2020. We're still in quarantine, but the good news is we're allowed to go out and get some exercise. So what you're seeing here is the Harrisville Vernal Pond. Temperature now finally has reached a good temperature. It's something like 60 degrees out today. And so I am going to take the kayak out on this lake for the first time ever.
Mike is new to not only Burrilville, but Burrilville Land Trust as well. And if you've never experienced kayaking along the Clear River or the Mill House or the Mill Pond, you should. Mike tells me that if you travel up the river, up the Clear River, you'll see at least 3 or 4 beaver ponds or beaver lodges. And this was one of the beavers that he saw on his maiden voyage of kayaking along the Clear River. Beautiful area. So that's our journey along the some of the backyards and land trust properties.
You didn't get my swans and geese?
I didn't see them. I'm so sorry. I don't know.
I thought you said you had it.
I'm sure I do. I didn't see them when I was going through all of the let's see if I can find them right now. Let's see.
Well, one I didn't send of the geese that I would have called geese may safely graze, and the one that I did send would be sheep geese may not safely graze, but that's all right. I just asked. Does anybody know what that vine was? Anybody recognize what that was? I really don't know.
Let me see if I can find it again. We can pull it up. It's not a vinca, huh? It's not some type of vinca.
It's one long, 10-foot long main stem. And this year, those little side shoots are coming off that had leaves along it, just right out of the stem, but.
I don't know. Although I have seen it before.
Well, I thought of partridge berry, but like I say, it's been there for several years and I've not seen the any berries or flowers, but or a wintergreen.
Don't know.
I was hoping there would be an expert out there to tell me. Thanks. Anyway.
Well, you never know. Well, if there's anyone out there who does know, let us know. But it's certainly a long vine, right? That's all one branch, or one vine, I should say.
Yes, that stem goes for 10, 12 feet. It goes, that's why I kept picking it up. I couldn't believe that I was still picking up the same vine way down as I was weeding or picking up leaves. But no, it goes and goes and goes. And like I say, I accidentally snapped the end of it last fall in cleanup. But maybe that's why it's getting more little branches this year. It's not trying to grow forward anymore.
Well, when it takes over the house,
I'll
time
let
to,
you know. Yeah.
yeah, let us know. Well, this was going to be a shorter show than usual, and it's proven to be that way. So the Land Trust has been around since the year 1999, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Land Trust, and then that'll take us to about 3 minutes, and then I'll let you all go. Let's see. There we are. Where is it when you need it? Maybe if I do this. There we go. Whoops, wrong one. So the Land Trust, for those of you who don't know, is a nonprofit 501c3 private land trust in the town of Burrilville. There are 39 towns and cities within Rhode Island, and they're about half, about 43 land trusts, and about half of those are private land trusts, like the Burrilville Land Trust. The other half are municipal land trusts, meaning they get their funding and their members are appointed by the town. We're an all-volunteer public charity. And being such, we accept donations, both in terms of cash and land. So if you're sick and tired of paying taxes on your land and you'd like to do something with it other than pay taxes, give us a call and perhaps we can work out some type of arrangement. The mission of the Burrilville Land Trust is to preserve and protect the rural character of the town of Burrilville through education, acquisition, and advocacy. Our board members are all volunteer, and some have been here for a long time in the town of Burrilville. Some new, like me, have only been here for about 20, 30 years or so. We own about 218 acres of land. That means we manage it in a way that maintains the integrity of the land. We don't develop it. We sometimes manage it for thinning and for biological purposes, but for the most part, whenever we get a piece of property, we pretty much leave it alone. There are some trails, some hiking trails along some of our properties, and those are certainly available to the public. If we were doing this in real life or other than the virtual world, every fourth Wednesday of each month, we are holding what's called a green drinks. No, you don't put green dye into beer. Come on down to Bravo Brewery. We hope to start doing it in June from 5 to 8. And the idea is to get together and just chat about the environment and the town where you live. Tonight, we are holding a virtual one right here on Zoom, and I'll be sending out some contact information about that a little later. So why are you here? Hopefully it's because of this sense of place, this sense of community, whether it's along ponds or streams or walking in the woods, you get this sense of connection. And you really see that sense of connection in history when you look at a fallen tree or a tree that's been cut down and you look at the rings of that tree, because deep within those rings are the life, the history of this world we call our backyard. Because every step you take, there are new things along the way, flowers that only appear at certain times of the year, animals and creatures that magically come out of the ground after a cold, harsh winter, frozen water. All of a sudden, the lakes and ponds and streams become alive with them. It is that ground we walk underneath that is just teeming with life. These pink lichens on top of a whole bunch of other creatures and mushrooms and a whole bunch of things below where we step on the ground, even on rocks. These rock ferns, this moss, and these rock tripe lichens that grow by dissolving a little piece of the granite to get minerals and sustenance from that piece of rock. This time of year, especially with all the rain we've been having, a lot of vernal pools, and deep within those vernal pools over the next few weeks, we'll see lots of life, like this three-toed red salamander, and this four-toed yellow spotted salamander. That is our sense of place. And I'm hoping that that's why you are here. So welcome. Take a look at some of the other events that we'll be having over the course of the next couple of weeks. Matter of fact, I think it's just this one and next one, to celebrate and help celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer any questions. We have a few of our board members here that can help out as well. If not, thank you all for coming. Remember, 5:30 tonight, we'll be doing a green drinks, a social hour. Bring your favorite vegetable or drink or whatever you got, and we'll sit down and chat about this stuff. Until then, see you later. Thank you for coming.
It's Earth Day. Go pick up some trash.
If you do that, be very careful. Wear gloves, because you don't know where that trash has been. And it could be contaminated with the coronavirus. So wear gloves or get one of those extender things where you can pick it up remotely. And when you get home, wash your hands. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about getting out there and picking up trash, and also a lot of talk about how to handle it correctly. Because remember, the person who had it in their bare hand before they chucked it out the window. And we see that all the time. All right, thanks so much. Goodbye, everyone. Happy Earth Day.